Welcome back to Society Case Files. My name is Robert, and today I want to talk about a role-playing game that I crowdfunded and I think is really cool. If you like this kind of content and you want to see more, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Otherwise, we're going to dive right in. The game in question is called Punk is Dead, and it's this sort of post-apocalyptic adventure game where you are creating music and going around the ununited kingdom in order to try and spread some hope in the basically shadow of the apocalypse. It's pretty much coming. It's pretty much here, and the world is trashed, and that's kind of what you're doing. That's the whole point of the game. You make a musician. You guys go on gigs, you sell merch, you do all kinds of crazy stuff, you get in fights, and you try to basically bring something positive to the world. In this game, as you can see, it's got a really cool little book, and the artwork is amazing. In fact, I would argue that this is more of a art game than it is necessarily a role-playing game. What I mean by that is that the book itself, every single page is a piece of art. There's nothing like your standard role-playing game where you're just going to get a few pages of just text. There is some kind of art on every single page, and it's made in a very stylized manner. So like in the guitar section for making a character who is the guitar player, you'll have your specialties over here. There's art here. There's like little notes up in the corner that help you understand it, but they're always different, which is very cool from an artistic perspective, but it is a little bit more challenging to go from one section to the next. For example, when I first got this and I was reading through it, I missed the keyboard section just because of how they wrote keys was dramatically different than the way that they wrote the others. And while I probably should have seen the massive yellow letters there, I wasn't paying attention to that art piece. I was reading the different stuff. So just kind of funny, but amazing at the same time, because once you kind of get it and once you feel the flow of how this art is working, the book works very well. It is not a complex system. There's not a whole lot of rules here for things like you're not going to find bleeding. You're not going to find asphyxiation or poison or any of that stuff. It's pretty much a straightforward, you make a roll, you do damage. When the damage runs out, you die. It's pretty darn simple. There are some mystical powers, if you want to call them that. Things like, they call them, well, it's got a lot of really bad language in here. But without telling you the specifics to keep away from using too much profanity, you do have these like sort of special powers that allow you to do things in combat and to inspire other people and to get over obstacles. There's a lot of roles and tables here available for you to use. Things like what happens when you go on tour. You take out the bus and something might happen to it along the way. So you roll on the table to see, do you make it without incident, or does it break down, or do you get attacked, and that kind of thing. It's mostly, as with all role-playing games, just guidelines, but they're pretty cool. In fact, I would say that this GM screen is probably all you need to play the game. This is all fluff and filler, and it really does define the world pretty well, even though it looks pretty small. But this has all of the actual rules. It tells you the skills up here at the top, which are actually quite funny. One is called Ng, which is punching, lifting, pushing, and pulling. Deft is being quicker than the other dude. Stage presence, commanding an audience. Tough, how much you can take. Yeet is throwing stuff. That's all. Streetwise, working stuff out. And then you've got a table of what you might already be carrying, and you might have an amplifier or some drumsticks or brushes or face paint and makeup. Just tons of stuff here. The difficulty ratings are up here on these guitar picks. They're very simple. Basically, it's like it should be super simple, is anywhere from 6 to 10. 10 to 14, you've got this, and anything above that is slim to no chance. There's a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, it goes on and on and on. But as you can see, as far as a GM screen goes, this is pretty simple, and there's not a whole lot to it. So you could be diving into this particular game very quickly. As far as the longevity is concerned, I guess that depends on what sort of movie you take inspiration from to keep it going. They do have plenty of information here on what you can do. So, for example, they have a bunch of monsters in here. There's literal corporate vampires. There's like bat monsters, flame hounds, tons and tons of stuff that could stand in your way from doing things. And they all have conspiracies and desires, and you could basically pit the players against all of these things if you so chose. So I guess that you could probably really fork out a campaign in this world. The rules might be a little light in this game for some people, especially if you want a little bit more crunch, if you're more used to something like 5e or Call of Cthulhu, something like that. This is a lot simpler, and I personally like that. I'm not entirely sure that it needed to use all these dice, considering how simple it is, but the dice it came with are freaking awesome, and I love them. They're black and pink with the yellow lettering. Very, very cool. It also came with a notebook that is literally just a blank notebook with the cool cover. It's called the Songwriter Journal. All around, I think it's a super unique game, and I think it would be a lot of fun, at least as a one-shot, if not more. I put it along the same lines as something like All Flesh Must Be Eaten. You can't deny how beautiful this game is and how much effort it had to take. I'd like to point out it is compatible with Morkborg, which is a fantasy game. I looked that up the other day. It's pretty cool. It was written and laid out by Tim Roberts, and what a job he did. Absolutely fantastic. I would not hesitate to recommend this to anybody who likes really cool, stylized looking games. If you want to change it up a little bit from your common D&D game or a vampire game, take this for a run. I think you'd have a lot of fun. Have you tried this game? Have you tried Morkborg? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments, and I'll talk to you again next time. This is Robert from Society Case Files, signing off.